Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. This afternoon, the Lok Sabha spent nearly 5 hours debating the situation facing Dalits in India. This follows 3 forceful and passionate statements by the Prime Minister over the weekend and deep concern in the media after a spate of attacks by Gaurakshaks on Dalits and Muslims. The issue is a subject of major concern for the BJP because it could undermine its outreach to the Dalits and damage its electoral prospects in UP. It's also created sharp divisions between the Prime Minister and some elements of the VHP and Hindu Mahasabha. So tonight we examine the Lok Sabha debate, the situation Gaurakshaks have created for Dalits and Muslims, the Prime Minister's statements and the response they've met with. My guests are the well-known sociologist Shiv Vishwanathan, Congress spokesperson N.K. Jayakumar, BJP MP Udit Raj and BSP leader Sudhindra Bhadoria. Mr. Bhadoria, as I said, the Lok Sabha, as we are speaking, is concluding a debate that has lasted for 5 hours on Dalit atrocities. But the House was at no stage full. Quite often it looked empty. Many MPs were seen on TV chatting to each other rather than paying attention to the debate. The majority of the speakers, as far as I could tell, were in fact Dalits or tribals, not non-Dalits and non-tribals. And worst of all, Arjun Meghwal, a minister, wasn't even present when he was called upon to speak. Does all of this suggest that this was more of a token and symbolic rather than a substantive debate?
Well, I think you have hit the nail on the head. This whole atrocity, subjugation of the Dalits, which has been there, it is an age-old problem. It has been not there since last 70 years alone. It has been there times immemorial in Indian society. Number one. Number two, we must understand that there is today a mindset which is in power, which mindset has existed in Indian history for a long time, which, if I sum up in 2 lines in Hindi, is Shudra, Pashu, Dhor aur Nari, ye sab hai Tadan ke adhikari. It means that the OBCs, Dalits, Shudra, women and animals, they need to be flogged all the time. And that is what we have seen in Una. That is what we have seen very recently in
Mr. Bhadoria,
Mandsaur in Madhya Pradesh.
Let me stop you for a moment, Mr. Bhadoria. I apologize. The Home Minister is speaking in Parliament live. Let's dip in to hear what he's saying and then I'll come back to you. Udit Raj, go ahead, Mr. Bhadoria. Complete your point. Go ahead.
Can I complete my 2 lines?
Yes, please go ahead. I'm giving you a chance.
You see, what I would like to sum up by saying that today we have a Prime Minister who is responsible for the well-being of the entire population of this country. But when it comes to the atrocities on women, Dalits, poor, he says, I am helpless, you can shoot me, you can kick me. Does it mean that a Prime Minister is so helpless? He is not Jesus Christ in this country. He is here to govern. He has to act with iron hands. When people are being whipped, they are being lynched. He cannot stand helpless and say, please come and shoot me, please come and kick me. I think this is a very weak Prime Minister, and this weak message has emboldened the image and also the strength of all those people who are trying to suppress the Dalits in this country.
Mr. Udit Raj, you made a very good point in your speech today in the Lok Sabha. You said, why is it that... No, I'm speaking to Mr. Udit Raj. Mr. Udit Raj, you made a very good point when you made your speech today in the Lok Sabha. You said, why is it that Dalit issues are left to Dalits and no one else is willing to speak? As you pointed out, the emancipation of blacks in America happened with Abraham Lincoln. The end of slavery in Britain happened with William Wilberforce. But today, up till 6:15, which is nearly 4 hours of the debate, 75% of the speakers were SC/ST, although they only constitute 24% of the House. Isn't that very revealing? The others were reluctant to stand up and speak.
You see, this is the irony, and I've been telling it that across the party, see what happened, that there are 2 ways to look at it. One is that atrocities, that those are incidents, atrocities, and other one is that source from where these atrocities emanate, from where these atrocities are born. that has to be addressed, that has to be attacked, but hardly I see that that is being addressed. What happens when some atrocities take place, be it in Patna, be it in Kanpur or Mainpuri, maybe Telangana, Una, anywhere. Then of course press reports, then of course among political parties there is debate and they accuse each other that in your state or in your governance atrocities have increased. It's just, it becomes a data fudging things and data
Dr. Raj, Dr. Raj, the point is that the people who speak on behalf of the parties are SC, STs, Dalits and tribals. Others don't get up to speak, and that was very clear in the first 4 hours today. 75% of the speakers were SC, ST. Others were very few and far between. Please stick to that.
I am coming to that. It's a reflection. What is in the society. Any place, whether it is Khairlanji or Dulina, that was Jhajjar, or Una, or Patna, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, or Bhotani Tola, Lakshmanpur Bathe, wherever atrocities are committed, why only Dalits agitate?
Quite right.
Why they only come out? Why not? It becomes a concern of the upper caste also, other caste also. I think that is the reflection in the Lok Sabha also.
Absolutely. And that's the point I was making.
Over here, because today,
let me bring in.
And let me tell you, I'm telling you, only 8 members of Congress were present when the debate started. Out of 45, unless until they see some.
Yes, but your own minister Arjun Meghwal was missing when he was called upon to speak. He wasn't paying attention when he was called upon to speak. Arjun Ram Meghwal himself was missing. So it's equally true of both sides, not just Congress. But let me bring in Mr. Jayakumar. One development, Mr. Jayakumar, that reveals the lack of seriousness in the debate today is that when Dr. Gopal, an AIADMK MP, was speaking, bang in the middle of his speech, he was interrupted by the Deputy Speaker so that a motion to send the citizenship bill to a standing committee could be passed. Now, that motion could have been passed at any point. There was no urgency to pass it at that particular moment. It could have waited till the end of the day. It could have happened tomorrow. But bang in the middle of Dr. Gopal's speech, he was interrupted by the Deputy Speaker so that this strange motion could be passed. Doesn't that reveal that even the Deputy Speaker thought that passing a motion to send a bill to the standing committee is more important than discussing Dalit atrocities? Dr. Jayakumar, did you hear any of that? No, clearly he didn't. Clearly he didn't. Let me put that to you. What do you make of that? That bang in the middle of a speech on Dalit atrocities, an MP is interrupted so that a bill on citizenship amendment can be sent to a standing committee, and that can happen at any point. There's no need to do it at that moment.
Yeah, but I think that's the complete reflection of the attitude today. It's an act of indifference, it's an act of absent-mindedness, it's an act of contempt for what happened to the Dalits. And the fact that no one seems to object or be concerned about it, it's a reflection of what the parliament is doing today. It is absent-minded about Dalit atrocities, and it couldn't care less. Now, if that's a reflection of society, we're in for deep trouble. Because this should be scandalous, but there's no sense of scandal.
In fact, let me give you another comparison. Yesterday, the Rajya Sabha was discussing the situation in Kashmir for over 6 hours. And television channels kept dipping in and covering it for half an hour, 40 minutes at a time. As far as I could tell today, they didn't cut into this debate on the Dalit atrocities at all. Or if they did, for a minute or two at the most. In other words, the media too has ignored this debate today. That's another reflection of it being more symbolic than substantive.
More than ignored. If you look at the analysis, it's poor. I think what we are really facing is, you see two sets of sociological problems played against the other. Kashmir gets the concern because it's security oriented. The Dalit, which is democracy oriented, has no interest in the imagination of an ordinary parliamentarian.
Also, another reflection is the fact that Dalits don't constitute decision makers, and so if Dalit issues are being discussed, higher castes don't give it the importance it deserves?
That's quite obvious. If, it's the higher castes who treat the Dalits with contempt. It's the OBCs which don't want Dalits as a part of the political imagination. I think this has to be responded to with greater concern. Even Udit Raj, his first statement was powerful. His interpretation of his own statement is poor. I think we have to have a deeper sense of scandal about what happened today.
Let's come, Mr. Bhadoria, to the context in which today's debate happened. In the last 1 year, there's been a spate of attacks by Gaurakshaks on Dalits and on Muslims, allegedly for either killing cows or storing beef in their homes. Do you believe that the 3 forceful, passionate interventions by the Prime Minister over the weekend and the fairly strong advisory sent by the Home Ministry on the 9th is an adequate response, or do you feel it falls short of what's required?
I would say that it is too late, too little. The UNA took place over a month back. He spoke after a month, and not only this. You see, the Dalit lynch took place almost a year back, and this has been the case, ongoing case in the last 2 years, where Dalits and minorities, some are being lynched, some are being flogged, some are being killed. The Prime Minister, after 1 year, 2 years, he finds a time to speak, and what is his sentence and what is the message that he's trying to give? You can shoot me, you can kick me, but they are my brothers. I think a strong Prime Minister will not speak in this language. He will say that I will deal with iron hands. I will come very strongly and firmly against all those people who try and raise their fingers at the Dalits, the poor. This is what we had expected from him. He came here with Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, not as a helpless Prime Minister in India, and more particularly helpless for the Dalits, the minorities and the poor. And the Prime Minister's this message has given a wrong signal. This must have emboldened them, and that is why these Gaurakshaks are today challenging the Prime Minister also. And Prime Minister has again chosen to become quiet rather than coming strong with strong legal measures against these people.
Udit Raj, the worrying point about Mr. Modi's statements or the advisory that was issued by the Home Ministry...
Let me reply first.
I will give you a chance, but listen to my question before you start talking. Because at the end of the day, I want you to answer my questions as well.
Yeah.
The worrying point...
Mr. Thapar, I have to...
Just a moment, Dr. Jaikumar, someone else is speaking. Mr. Jaikumar, wait your turn, please. Udit Raj, the worrying point is that Mr. Modi's statements, as well as the advisory issued by the Home Ministry, happened 26 days after the UNA attack, 11 months after the lynching of Muhammad Akhlaq. It's almost as if the Prime Minister and the Home Ministry were forced by press and public opinion to respond. They weren't doing spontaneously. Because if it was spontaneous, you would have heard both of them respond within 24 hours, not 26 days later or 11 months later in the case of Akhlaq.
You see, he is the Prime Minister of 125 crores population. And of course, law and order is subject of the state, and there are local authorities. When incidents happen, it is the responsibility of local authorities and state government to tackle it. And for each and every incident, if a Prime Minister is made responsible to make a statement, then it will be difficult for him to run the country.
Can I answer that?
Then when he realized that there is a popular demand,
Mr. Udit Raj,
there is a popular demand that the state government needs to be advised very strongly.
Listen to me.
He advised very strongly.
The Prime Minister is not just a political leader. The Prime Minister also gives India ethical leadership. And you know better than me that at a time when the nation is deeply troubled, one of the duties of the Prime Minister is to enunciate a position around which the country can unite and rally. The lynching of Muhammad Akhlaq, the treatment of those 4 Dalits in Una was one such moment when the country needed a rallying position to be enunciated by the Prime Minister. At that critical moment, his silence is to fail the country in terms of ethical leadership. That's why his speaking is so important. That's why his delay is so worrying.
You see, it's not only ethics, but it is a governance that ultimately will give the relief, and eventually he made the statement, and the statement is so powerful, so ethical, so emotional, that it sends the very strong message to civil society, not only civil society but local authorities, state government, that they must perform their duty and protect those who are unleashing terror on Islam, whether on minorities or Dalit, in the name of protecting the cause. And he also said that dealing these goons and ruffians, those who are trying to start money or trying to unleash terror or atrocities on Dalits, from the responsible organization, because what happened that they are committing it under the garb of cow protector, as if they are supported by a bona fide organization. So it's such a marvelous statement, and such a
you're a very loyal BJP MP.
Which I think addresses it properly.
Admire your loyalty to the Prime Minister when you call it a marvelous and magnificent statement. Mr. Jayakumar, on Saturday and Sunday, the Prime Minister, Mr. Jayakumar, listen to me. Mr. Jayakumar, listen to me. On Saturday and Sunday, the Prime Minister on three separate occasions spoke against Gaurakshaks attacking Dalits. However, Gaurakshaks have also attacked Muslims. In fact, they lynched Muhammad Akhlaq to death. But the Prime Minister didn't mention the word Muslim even once. How disturbing do you find this discrimination between his concern for Dalits, who he calls brothers and says, shoot me, don't shoot the Dalits, but total silence about the same Gaurakshaks lynching and attacking Muslims? How worrying do you find that discrimination?
Yeah. It is. What the Prime Minister has done is a great discrimination towards the Muslims, and at the same time, what he spoke about the Dalit is not a real words coming from his heart. He is a great actor and he is a great opportunist. Why he spoke like that in Hyderabad? Because the Punjab election is around the corner, and the Gujarat election is around the corner, Uttar Pradesh election is around the corner. In all these states, Dalit votes matters a lot. But our great Prime Minister chose the opportunity to speak at this moment. Normally he observes Mauna Vrat. He had never spoken when Mohan Bhagwat talked about the reservation system. He did not speak when V.K. Singh called the Dalits as dogs. He did not speak when Smriti Irani closed the Ambedkar Periyar Center at IIT. He did not speak when it was lynched at Haryana. He did not speak when the honor killings were taking place. He did not speak when the budget for the Dalits was curtailed in the parliament. I feel damn and sad for Mr. Udit Raj. He is in a wrong place. He got to defend his Prime Minister. He is doing his job. But let us not forget.
Mr. Jayakumar, if the position was reversed and Sonia Gandhi was in the dock, you would be as loyal to her as he is to Mr. Modi. So let's not make that sort of point. Let me bring you in on that. And I want to pick up that particular criticism. I'm bringing in someone else, Dr. Jayakumar. I want to pick up the criticism that you had Mr. Jayakumar make there. It's a point that's been made by many others that the Prime Minister spoke out against Gaurakshaks attacking Dalits because this will undermine the BJP's outreach to Dalits and damage their electoral prospects in UP and Punjab, both of which have 22 and 32% Dalit populations respectively. But he equally, by the same logic, kept quiet about Gaurakshaks attacking Muslims because that's a polarization many believe the Prime Minister feels he will take advantage from. Now, is that sort of analysis unfair or is it warranted?
I think if you take the Prime Minister seriously, his silences are crucial. His absent-mindedness about certain issues needs to be considered. This is making democracy into a cynical exercise of tactics. The question of justice isn't raised. The question of Gaurakshaks being unlawful vigilantes is not being openly stated. This is an emergency issue. It requires national concern. Half the parliamentarians are saying it's a local issue and a local responsibility. If you don't take this issue as an item of national concern involving ethics, which you emphasized, and justice, I think there's something shameful about this discussion.
You know, Mr. Bhadoria, your leader Mayawati made a particular point about the Prime Minister, even though many people felt the three statements he made, they may have been delayed, but they were very forceful and they were very passionate. The point she made was that the Prime Minister's statements must be made in Parliament. Why? Why can the Prime Minister not address these issues from Telangana, particularly when the Telangana speech has nationwide coverage and what he says in Parliament during daytime may not get the same coverage?
Well, Parliament is an institution where the aspirations of the ordinary people and people at large get articulated. This is almost like a temple for the entire Indian society, where all the grievances of the people have got to be raised, and there, as a leader of the entire house, and from there speaking out to the Indian community and to the larger world community as to what is going to be the focus of today. These protests against the Dalit atrocities are not taking place alone in India. You find it in Europe and you find it elsewhere. What is the image that we are creating for India? That here we still have slavery continuing in our system? But let me also remind my friends who belong to the Hindutva forces, it was same very Hindutva forces who burned the effigy of Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar here in Ramlila ground, and it is this mindset which is governing this country today.
Okay.
And it is for this reason that they don't have empathy with these sections of Indian society, and that is a very sorry, sad state, and I think people of this country will have to rise against this mindset in India.
Udit Raj, there was a second point that Mayawati made. She said that one other reason why it's important for the Prime Minister to speak about atrocities against Dalits in Parliament rather than from political hustings is because 80%, she claimed, have actually happened in BJP-ruled states. And you know, those states we all know: Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan.
See,
how do you respond to that?
If we go into the statistics and data, we'll find that there were incidents where more than 100 Dalits were butchered, burned, 50 Dalits, 40 Dalits.
But that's historically. That's historically. Let's talk about what the issue of concern today.
Historically, number one, the point which you asked me, which I couldn't be allowed to answer, is that I am looking for Abraham Lincoln in India. I am looking for a person like Wilberforce. Why not upper caste? They come forward, they fight like Dr. Ambedkar, they fight like me, they have the same spirit and feeling. What happened in all atrocities I see, whether it is erosion of reservation, or whether killing of Dalits, burning of Dalits.
Can I answer that for you by putting? Can I answer that? Because it's a very good point you're making, and I was making the same point earlier. But let me, in response to what you're saying, point this out. Today, when Arjun Ram Meghwal was speaking, Rajiv Pratap Rudy, who's an upper caste, was sitting in the house. He didn't choose to get up, but he certainly took every opportunity to keep encouraging Meghwal to keep talking. And when, in fact, the speaker was trying to shut Meghwal up, Rajiv Pratap Rudy loudly said, no, don't stop, carry on talking. Now, why couldn't Mr. Rudy, a very articulate person and an upper class person, have stood up himself? He didn't. The only person, I believe, while I was watching from your party who's not a Dalit who spoke, was in fact Mr. Naidu. But again, he spent his time scoring two points with Congress rather than really addressing the issue. So, you know, this absence of a Wilberforce or Abraham Lincoln applies as much to the BJP as to Congress. In fact, it applies to Indian politics as a whole.
Indian society, see, above all party line, Indian society, I am appealing to Indian society that whether it's intellectuals, middle class, civil society, NGO, why don't they come forward? Why don't they treat that the Dalits are also a citizen of this country? They also form the nationality of the country. Why don't they?
Absolutely, that's a very good point you're raising. But let me come back to Mr. Jayakumar, because Mr. Jayakumar, you were belittling the Prime Minister's statement. What about the fact that his statement, although it was delayed, has provoked angry outbursts from the VHP, from the Hindu Mahasabha? Not only have they threatened to defy him, they've even gone on record to say that they will make the BJP pay a political cost for what he said. Their response surely is proof that the PM statement has found its target. Did you hear me, Mr. Jayakumar? I don't think he did. Let me put that to you.
Let me be brutal. VHP, Bajrang Dal, BJP have to be seen as one entity. If Modi plays good cop to their bad cop, I'm not convinced. Because he has to have a change in policy or he has to make drastic decisions. Then he has to challenge them in the court of law. Just challenging Gaurakshaks as an anonymous category doesn't satisfy me.
Can I interrupt and put this to you? Given that these people have defied him and threatened that he will pay a political cost, it's quite clear that they intend to continue with their Gauraksha.
Yes.
And if they do, will it be a litmus test for Mr. Modi in terms of how he responds? Because at that stage, he has to then arrest them and prosecute
Absolutely, and it has to be done with an urgency, not 1 year later.
Well, then let me point something else out to you. A gentleman called Satish Kumar, who's a Gaurakshak in Punjab, has been charged with an FIR. It's a cognizable offense. It's non-bailable. But he hasn't been arrested. And there he was on television 2 days ago, defying the authorities to arrest him. 2 days later, I'm told, he still hasn't been arrested. And that's in a state where the BJP is part of the government.
Look, you're teaching Gaurakshaks as if they're the new Boy Scouts of this era. Are you trying to tell me that they're serious about arresting Gaurakshaks? Then do it. It takes 5 minutes.
Can I put that to you, Mr. Udit Raj? We've just decided that although the response from the VHP and the response from the Hindu Mahasabha proves...
I just want to come in.
Well, we'll have to wait a moment, Mr. Jayakumar. I'm going to Mr. Udit Raj at the moment. Although the response from the VHP and the Hindu Mahasabha proves that the Prime Minister has hit the target, because their anger is proof of that, equally, when they defy the Prime Minister and carry on with their Gauraksha, it becomes a test for the PM. And take the example of Satish Kumar, a well-known Gaurakshak from Punjab. An FIR has been filed against him. It's a cognizable offense. It's non-bailable, but he's not been arrested. And he's now defying the authorities in Punjab to arrest him, and no one has. And that is proof that there is no bite to this particular, forgive me using a colloquial phrase, bark.
I deny. Why? You see, first giving example of Una, CM visited and all of them have been arrested.
What
and
about Punjab?
In case of Punjab,
but take the case
you are
of Punjab.
talking about that person, Satish Kumar.
Yes, what about him?
He'll be also arrested.
But when?
So what happened?
But
and secondly, the law and order is the subject of the state government, is not the subject of central government. What the state government is doing over
It's a cognizable, non-bailable offense. And he still hasn't been arrested, and on TV, he is defying the authorities to arrest him, and 3 days later, they still fail to do so. And this is a state where the BJP is in government with the Shiromani Akali Dal.
But definitely he will be brought to the justice. It's not that he can go scot-free. And nobody is above the law. The country has a rule of law.
How generous you are when the BJP is lapsing in its ability to bring people to justice. You suddenly become very understanding. How come you aren't more concerned and you aren't more worked up and angry?
No, it's not like that. In fact...
Does party loyalty take precedence over your commitment to Dalit support and justice? Well, you're laughing, sir. I hope that's a laugh with embarrassment. I hope that's a laugh of embarrassment because of the fact that this is an awkward position you're in. All right, let's take a break at that point.
Not at all, not at all. That's what I'm telling you. I'm talking about your observation. I'm laughing about your observation.
My observation was factually correct. This gentleman has defied the authorities, and in defying the authorities, is proving that the rhetoric behind Mr. Modi's statement is just rhetoric. The bite is missing. Mr. Vishwanathan, let's approach this subject of Gaurakshaks a little differently. In an article that you wrote for The Hindu on the 25th of July, you said, and I'm quoting, the so-called rights of a cow are getting precedence over the rights of Dalits. And that's also true, they're getting precedence over the rights of Muslims as well. Is this because Hindus worship the cow, and this is 80% a Hindu country? Or is it because the cow has become a convenient excuse for anti-Dalit, anti-Muslim prejudice?
First, as Hindus worship a cow, the state of Gaushalas in this country should be much better. The sense of the sacred has to be expressed in the everyday. Second, here the category cow is used as a pretext for all kinds of gross violations. You can't have human rights violations of this order and blame it on the cow. It's an act of hypocrisy.
So here, the cow is a cover for anti-Dalit, anti-Muslim prejudice, full stop.
Yeah. Let me tell you, the sacred cow has to be the constitution.
Absolutely. And that is a cow in a metaphorical as opposed to the bovine sense. So, Dindra Bhadoria, 80% of of Indians are Hindus. In these circumstances, how should a secular state respond to the fact that the cow is becoming both a symbol of violence as well as a cause for that violence, which is Professor Vishwanathan's analysis? How should the Indian state respond to that?
While I agreeing with Mr. Vishwanathan completely on this, I also tend to agree to the analysis that the Dalit issue is not catching the attention of the media and the people who are the decision makers as it should. Because today if we see, let us take the issue of these cow vigilantes. Now in Rajasthan there is a BJP government. There are over 1,500 cows which have died in the last 1 month in the Gaushalas run by the government. 500 alone under the nose of Vasundhara Raje, who is the Chief Minister of Rajasthan. This is just a political issue for mobilization.
Okay.
Now they have no Ram Mandir with them, so they are looking for some issue. And this issue they thought was going to be handy, but it has become counterproductive, and now they cannot hide in the garb of being a law and order problem of a state. I think the dignity and self-respect of all citizens is prime most responsibility, and that too of the government at the center, though also of the state.
That's very true.
The Prime Minister, he should act firmly and he should see to it that whether any group, whether who are part of his ranks or who are maybe not part of his ranks, if they are coming out against these vulnerable sections,
he should respond.
People who live on the margins of
you made that
society,
point earlier. I'm going to stop you because I want to bring in Mr. Udit Raj. Mr. Udit Raj, I want to bring in Mr. Udit Raj. Mr. Udit Raj, one of the worrying points is that the Prime Minister spoke out against atrocities by Gaurakshaks in the case of Dalits, but not Muslims. And he's taken an oath to be secular. Why has he kept quiet about Muslims? And I'm inviting you as a thinking human being to answer that rather than as a loyal party MP who has to defend the PM. Does it not worry you that the Prime Minister can be so concerned about Gaurakshak attacking Dalits and is silent about them attacking Muslims?
I said that law and order is the subject of a state, and where you are referring there is not the BJP government. Why did they not take stern action against perpetrators? Nobody was going to stop. I thought there was injustice. Number one. Number two.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
You have very correctly
Muslims
observed
were attacked by Gaurakshaks in Jammu and Kashmir, where the BJP is part of the government. If you simply want to make excuses, then you can do that.
See,
but I'm asking you to be honest.
Let me answer very important question. One is that when the Kashmir issue was debated in Rajya Sabha, television covered it.
So, Mr. Udit, I've asked you a very important question. I've given you a chance to answer it. I've run out of time, but I can't afford for you to prevaricate. I know that you don't want to address a question that is awkward, because as a royal MP, it's your duty to defend the Prime Minister, and I respect that. That's your duty, and I respect it. But I gave you a chance to answer this difference the Prime Minister has created between defending Dalits and being silent about Muslims, and you clearly don't want to do that. Because when you say it's a law and order issue and the states come in, that applies as much to the Dalit situation as it does to the Muslim situation. And when you say that this has happened not in BJP-ruled states, you're wrong. It's happened in Jammu and Kashmir, and that's very much a BJP-ruled state. And don't forget Haryana, that's another BJP-ruled state. So my apologies, sir. I have to stop you there. My thanks to all my guests for joining me. If you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night.